Last time I finished Path 20. Path 21 was actually the first one that I did, and now we're on to Path 22. Excuse me. Intro video of this game, and it's on our YouTube page if you'd like to see it. And we're going to go ahead and continue on with number 22.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renado knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. Its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renado had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay.
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Renado wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely, there must be some way to do it without provoking another catastrophe. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the Earth? It was more than Renado could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Renado couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lupino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renado felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renado never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Look, it's not personal, but your mother wears army boots on her ears.
That had been his mistake before. Not trusting Zenobia's feelings for him. But how could he have known? After all these years of silence?
Really? I think I'm
The contraption wasn't even trying anymore. As if it knew it had met its match. There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core. Doubt sunk in before he was even out of sight of the Farfarer. Why had he chosen the Skyripper? It was the sort of path he'd always avoided. The path of responsibility, of seriousness. Had he grown up? He didn't feel grown up. He'd made this decision from his gut, like he always did. Somehow, he'd impulsively decided to stop being impulsive. Did that make any sense? There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Hey! I got this friend who's a swan. Could he join up? He dyes his feathers?
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be. The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark art, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling... He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah. That made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, Better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it. Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, he could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective. Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And, hopefully this time, just his destruction. A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk. Odd that they never locked these things. Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, the Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed. Irving still believes in string theory.
At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. One way or another, there had to be a safe way to use it. On the way to the ruins of the city of Ubar, Renato had plenty of time to ponder what the toads had said. Strings and holes and something called anti-stuff. Well, he didn't understand any of it, but it made him nervous. Renato would hear one metaphor and decide the Skyripper was safe, and then another, and worry it was catastrophically dangerous. If it could destroy the entire world, nothing was worth risking that. But if it couldn't, then not using it would be an act of cowardice. Of course, it could be catastrophically dangerous. Renato knew that. But maybe it wasn't always. He would bring the Skyripper to the Council. Wiser heads would know what to do. The truth was, if it wasn't safe, then it was dangerous. They couldn't use it. He'd found the Skyripper for nothing. He should have rescued his friend Lupino. Oh, he should have confronted Zenobia. He had nothing but his sword. But maybe the Council would have an idea? The ruins. Why were so many ravens scouring the ruins? Had someone betrayed the secret base? Renato thought about how he could have used the Skyripper to assault the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. He shuddered. That could have gone very wrong. A raven cawed, "There he is!" And they ran away, cawing. They knew he had the core, didn't they? And they were afraid of it. Little did they know, he couldn't use it. Wait, if they didn't know he couldn't use it... Yes. A sword can be powerful without ever being drawn from its scabbard.
Black is the new dead.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Renato barely made it to the hideout when he was shoved into a meeting room. He laid out his plan. They were shocked. Bluff the Emperor with an unusable weapon?
Yeah, it's brilliant, laughed Renato. He keeps sending ravens, none of them come back. How does he know it's my sword?
I suppose there's no harm if it fails.
Take the Sky Ripper into a firing position, croaked the speaker. I shall attempt to hail him by far, speaker. It was a huge bluff. Reynardo had no cards to play. Just a weapon that could maybe destroy everything he hated and everything he loved. Could he be sure it wouldn't work? No, of course not. Of course the Emperor couldn't be sure it wouldn't work, and he must believe in ancient weapons if he hoped to bring back the lost gods, right? What terms could he offer Isengrim III? Now, he would have to step down, obviously. And accept the rebellion? Was that asking too much? Maybe Reynardo would ask him to make Zenobia Empress. Yeah, his daughter, after all. She would never sacrifice innocent kittens and puppies to bring back the lost gods. No. Reynardo had to seem confident. Overconfident, even. Like he was sure he could blow up the Emperor's ship to hell. I mean, who believes a cautious bluff? Already Reynardo knew more. Oh, it was strange. Fighting to place a weapon he could not use. But he could end the war tonight with just a threat. So much more humane than destroying a ship or an entire fleet. And then he would destroy the Sky Ripper in case some other adventurer was tempted. You never knew about some of these other foxes. Soon, it would all be over. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. Zenobia came out, flanked by a whole platoon of ravens. I know you, Reynardo. You won't actually use that, she said. I know what the scientist told you, that it would totally blow up your fleet. You're reckless, Reynardo. Bold. Dashing. Brave. Devil-may-care. Wild. Impulsive. Hasty, rash, sometimes even a little harebrained, a bit feckless even. You just don't think things through. Oh, get to the point, woman. But you're not crazy. How do you know I didn't go crazy?
demanded Renato, doing his very best to look crazy. Well, go ahead then. Press the trigger. Oh, damn her. She'd seen through him again. She never fell for his bluffs. This was the moment to do something brilliant. To come up with exactly the right thing to say, to make a heroic move and think of anything that wasn't obviously stupid. He was too shocked to move. Her ravens came and seized the Sky Ripper. He stared as they pushed it over the side into the abyss. Hey! Oh, I fought really hard to get that. It should never have come back. And he had to admit she was right. She had always been right. It was one of the frustrating things about her. Years later, as he rotted to his death in an Imperial prison cell, Renato was still trying to come up with something clever and heroic that he could have done in that last moment. But he never could.
Story completed. Story number 22, Poker Face. I was a hero who can turn a hopeless situation into an opportunity, who can win a war without firing a single shot. Yay, I leveled up. I found the armature, I found the core, I met with the scientists and met the council. The Sky Ripper, the legendary weapon that had banished the gods themselves. Renato assembled the super weapon, but even a hothead like him knew he should deal carefully with such an ancient and powerful artifact. He consulted with the experts who warned him that the weapon could destroy the very fabric of space and time. Renato's hopes were crushed, yet the ravens kept coming, intent on stopping him. Then it struck him. The Empire was likely unaware of that space-time business, so he went with a bluff, threatening to use the Sky Ripper, forcing the Emperor to abdicate. The bluff failed, and Renato had no choice but to surrender. So that was story number 22. And I'm going to go ahead and continue on to story number 23 in the next video. Thank you everyone for watching.